through several readings.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, we're not very good.
Yeah, that's why we did it now. So we'll have 3 readings before the end of the year. And
So we'll have an updated exhibit A.
Oh, yeah.
Probably right down to the last 3rd reading.
Okay.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah, you can.
So when you ask me
right
that,
beside
you
Mary's
use
house.
what is that term?
That burn stopped when that light. He must have tripped the light. But I had to just.
all right. Oops, let me get this going. I got us live and got us recorded, and it's 7:30, so we will call this November 8th meeting to order. Start with prayer and the pledge. Our Father,
who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, roll call.
Present.
Foreman,
Present.
Hamilton,
Present.
Atkinson,
Present.
Keller,
Present.
Curry.
Present.
All right, everyone's present. Let's have a meeting. First item, approval of the October 25th, 2021 council meeting minutes.
I move that we accept the minutes as printed.
Foreman seconds.
All right, any further discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, roll call.
Kyle's Gray,
Yes.
Foreman,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Atkinson,
Yes.
Keller,
Yes.
Curry.
Abstain. I was absent.
All right, 5-0, 1 abstention. Minutes will be approved as written. Next is approval of the agenda. There's nothing to add. As Jeff noted when I asked a couple meetings ago, we don't have to amend the agenda to add the sponsors, so we got a good agenda.
Okay, I'll move that we approve the agenda as printed and emailed to us.
I'll second that.
All right. Any discussion on the agenda? Roll call.
Kyle's Gray,
Yes.
Foreman,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Atkinson,
Yes.
Keller,
Yes.
Curry.
Yes.
All right, we got an agenda. Visitors, no one present in person. Debbie on Zoom, got anything for us?
No, sir.
All right, thank you. We will move on then. Village admin reports, my report. Couple quick things in case you saw the news over the weekend. The $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill passed. While that sounds like a lot of money and is, only 55 billion of that were for water infrastructure. And of that 55 billion, 15 billion is specifically set aside for lead pipe replacement and 10 billion set aside for chemical cleanup, leaving 30 billion for water infrastructure repair and replacement. So we'll see how that trickles down to us, which gets me to my next point, because sometimes it's apparently whose palms you grease, because we had this great project for water stuff that we did through some of the CARES money, and Terry got the grant going. This was the House Bill 168 funds, went through the county. We were looking good. Didn't hear anything. In fact, at the last meeting, Terry said we hadn't heard anything. The very next day, I got my governor's office press release that they gave $93 million in water grants out as part of this, one of his programs in House Bill 168. We didn't get any of it, but you know who did? Lancaster got $1 million to run 1,500 feet of water line under 33. And who else? I don't want to. There were a couple other communities. One community got $5 million to do a water infrastructure project for 1,000 people. One community got $400,000 to extend a water line for 18 people. I don't want to disparage their projects because they might be in the same boat we are. But I got to ask, where's the wisdom when Lancaster gets $1 million across 40,000 people to run 13 feet of line under 33? And calling everybody I can and talking to them as much as I can about it. So I don't know. I know.
What were we asking for?
What did we ask for in that one, Terry?
Was it just about 700?
Yeah.
But we had pledged our ARP funds to it, so that wasn't the whole amount. We had a very large pledge.
So I'm sure at some point in the future, I'll talk with Senator Schaefer. He's good about checking in, and I'll see if he has any insight onto how it went. That was just the first round, so who knows? We might get some as more comes out, but I was not very happy Tuesday morning, and I'm sure my text messages to Terry would prove that. So I'm not holding my breath on this federal one either, how it gets down to us, if we'll see anything, or if Columbus or the larger cities will gobble it up, because
Yeah.
as I make the argument,
San Francisco, New York.
well, as I make there, and it makes, to a degree, it makes sense. You want the most bang for your buck. So I can spend $100,000 and help 100,000 people, or you can spend $100,000 and help 1,000 people. But at the same time, it's that lower population centers that tend to need it more. And so I think the formula is backwards. Anyway, that's our update on that. But I don't want to end on always having bad news. One of the bills introduced into the Ohio House recently is to allow communities to do remote meetings. It's going through, it just got introduced, but we're not the only ones saying, well, hey, wait, COVID proved that we can have efficient meetings and have public involvement and observation remotely. So there is a bill in there. So I know some of you have asked me about why we can't keep doing that. And so we will see if that passes. Hopefully that will come up and get a favorable vote. Along those lines, of course, we had the election. We've got 2 seats open. I've already received 4 letters of interest for the 2 open seats. We'll get something up on the website and take those letters through the end of the year. We will, because of the way the numbers work, we won't have our organizational meeting the first week of January like we normally would. We will just set it January 10th at 5:45. That's the second Monday. And the reason we'll do that is Chuck will be back, so we will have a quorum, and we have to have a quorum to have a meeting because that bill hasn't made it through the House yet to allow him to participate from Florida. So our org meeting will be at 5:45 on January 10th. That gives us 2 more full months to be able to collect letters of interest for those 2 council seats, and then distribute them out to council, who I would imagine at that meeting. Now that I'm saying it out loud, would anybody have a problem moving that back to maybe 5:30 or even 5 o'clock? Because we've already got 4 letters, and I imagine you will want to have in the past, there's been a brief executive session so that council could discuss the applicants and the stuff that's submitted.
I don't have no problem what time you want to do it.
Time's no problem, man.
And it's enough advance. Okay, so let's say 5 p.m. just to give enough time. And that at that org meeting, council can then consider the applicants for the 2 appointments. And then,
And Debbie would need to be there too, so
Yep.
she make the 5 or what?
oh yeah,
She's one of the 4.
yeah,
I
she's
know
going
she
for-
needs to be able to be there. We didn't check in with her to make sure she can make the earlier time.
She's participating, right?
yeah.
Okay.
Debbie, 5 o'clock on January 10th, good with you?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, cool. So it would mean though that after that meeting, there'd be, well, we'll figure out the logistics. Anyway, that's that. Anybody have any questions for me? All right, Terry.
I just wanted to follow up with the mayor on my feelings about 168. I'm very disappointed in the governor. I have no idea who he's listening to, but I would like to make an appointment to go talk to him. because it, again, to the mayor's point, it seems like the big cities are getting the most money for fewer people. So it's just not right. And this new federal, I don't look for us to get any of that grant money either. So we're on our own. We've been doing pretty good with grants, and we'll just keep going on down the road. So membranes, we took membrane 4 out of service today and put it in membrane 1 tank. So the 2 of them are in there together. And right now they're soaking in chlorine. Tomorrow night, Wednesday morning, we'll be pulling those, rinsing them off, and then re-putting them back in. By that time, our bugs should be here. We're looking forward to adding our bugs to those new clean membranes. Now we've got kind of an experiment going here, because we'll have 2 membranes that are clean, 2 aren't, and we're going to put the bugs in at the same time. So that way we'll kind of get a little feel on how that's going to work. So we're moving right along. We're filling up sludge bags. Our new hauler has already talked to Kenny. He's ready to take on 2 bags. So that's our goal, to get rid of 2 bags. So that's good to go. We did receive the school water meter. Remember, I told you that's about 25 years old. So we are planning still on Thanksgiving of installing that meter. Joey will iron out the details. The water loop project, the one project that we thought we could finish this year, that was bid out to BK Layer on the water loop project for Kumler, Brown, and Fremont. Kumler, Brown, and Fremont. I talked to Tyler today. She said they are planning on doing it, but she's not sure about materials. Materials are getting very scarce right now. I worry about whether they'll be able to come through with the materials to finish that project this year. And we'll have to readjust our budget depending on what she tells us. Leaf collection, as you know, has begun. They started this morning around 7:30, and by noon they were done with the village. So, which is pretty good, because last Thursday Ralph walked into my office and quit. So we are down to Tim and Tyler on streets. So today, Mr. Little volunteered to help pick up leaves. And like I said, by 1 o'clock, they were all done. If push comes to shove, because of our short staffing, that we have to push the leaf collection out, we will. But our main concern is to keep our plants going and address any emergency situations that may come up. Notifications that went out today for all of the residents on Canal Street, either on Canal Street or around the neighborhood, telling them of the November 25th change in the traffic pattern. So on November 25th, the Canal Street will now become 2 ways. So everybody got a letter in that area. I tried to get it as many people, and then I'll post it on the website. When I talk about website, our new website has arrived. If you got a moment to take a look at it, Friday evening, we decided to put it up when maybe people weren't looking at websites. So it looks like everything is good. We just have to get used to loading and unloading what goes there. We have some training to do, but I think it looks good. Please look at it. If there's something you would like to change or do, I sent the chief, he has a page. I sent him a notice today, so everybody can go in and look at the page and say, what do we want to put on this page? So Barb went on medical leave on Friday. Friday was her last day. She'll be gone for the entire month of November. If she feels better towards the end of November, she'll be working from home for me. If not, she will return the first week in December. The last thing I can say, and Brian and I haven't had a chance to talk, but Brian and I have a meeting tomorrow with our T-Mobile supplier. We were having a lot of trouble with the phones, our cell phones. And so, in fact, Tim couldn't even get his to work. So he went to Lancaster, only to find out that come January 1st, none of our phones were gonna work. So no, we needed some new SIM cards. Some of us, like mine, will not even I have to have a whole new phone. So I'm very displeased with T-Mobile. They took over for Sprint. That's for our contract. And so Brian and I will be meeting with them tomorrow to discuss how can we move forward. So my report. I'm
Anybody-
sorry. Oh, my goodness. Yes, Mr. Kennison passed his wastewater 1 test on Friday. Very proud of him. So now this is allowing us to move Joey back into water, and because Joey has been working both water and wastewater. So Brad did pass his test on Friday. I was very excited, and don't know I didn't have that down, but yay.
This was
Yeah.
his first try.
Yeah, I
That
heard.
that was one of the budget items I had to reconfigure.
So, yeah,
Any questions for Tara? All right. Brian, you talked for about an hour from committee, so I'm hoping when I
Yeah,
say,
I-
what do you have?
Well, yeah, I did talk for a long on the budget, but so if anybody has any questions about the budget, including Ms. Schaffner up there, feel free to contact me and try to answer your questions.
All right. Jeff,
3 new pieces of legislation on for first reading. They all have emergency language. They don't all need to be passed on an emergency basis. The first one is a format recommended by ODOT. My recollection, Terry, is that one can go,
that has to be passed as an emergency.
okay.
it was supposed to be
Emergency.
passed a month ago.
Yes,
They
Oh,
just
that
didn't,
one was. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
they just didn't
long story.
get it to us.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, okay. There was one of them, I thought that you would send me an email and said, no rush on it. So maybe it wasn't that one. So anyway, okay. The appropriation ordinance, according to Brian, that
Yes.
needs to be on for just a first reading, not considered
Right.
for passage this evening. And one ordinance on for second reading, nothing on for third reading. That's all I have.
All right.
And you said the ordinance for the moratorium on
Yeah.
pond building, right?
Yeah,
Thank you.
that's on there. And that has emergency on it.
All right. Moving on to committee reports, finance.
Okay, Mayor, we had a meeting tonight and Brian went over the financials, the monthly, and everything seemed to be okay. Maybe one item kind of on their wire fence, but they're all looking pretty good, I guess. Then we went over to the 2022 budget, and I think everybody was here, so and we'll have to go through readings, so everybody had a chance to, see it next meeting, whatever. And our next meeting will be the 13th of December at 6 o'clock.
All right. Service.
Service hasn't met since the last meeting. Our next scheduled meeting is November 22nd, 6 o'clock.
All right. And safety.
Our next meeting, the 22nd, at the
And rules.
Our next meeting will be December 13th.
All right. Chief, police report.
Thanks, Mayor. I don't know if this has been the worst kept secret in Baltimore or not, but Officer Clark, our SRO, is resigning. He put his, I have his copy of his resignation, his notice letter. He's been offered a full-time position with the Pickerington Police Department. And needless to say, we can't financially compete with Pickerington. He really did some soul searching because he truly, if there was ever a kid that truly loved Baltimore, it's him. And he wanted me to express to all of you how much he appreciates the fact that you gave him an opportunity to come here and spend a few years with us. So Now well, that's a downside. Here's another downside. So we obviously are contracted to supply a school resource officer to the school system. And we would prefer to keep somebody that we know have a history. That's not just a grab somebody, plug it in sort of thing. So fortunately, Lieutenant Rogers has agreed to step up and take that over at least through this school year. And then that'll give us an opportunity to go out and advertise and bring some people in to talk to and see what they want to do. So car 3, which is the oldest car in the fleet, we've had just all kinds of issues with it, but we finally, I think, have it serviceable as far as drivability. So we put it back into the rotation, and it's being driven on a daily basis by the school resource officer again. More hits, they keep on coming. We have a total of, counting Officer Clark, we have a total of 4 officers that are leaving. Officer Thompson is going to the Ohio State Highway Patrol. He's going to their police division and has already been assigned to the State House. Officer Holm is going back home to Belmont County, where he's been hired by the Belmont County Sheriff's Office for patrol duties. And this one is still up in the air, but Officer Lifer took the test for Athens PD and did really well on it. And he has an interview week after this week. So we'll see where we're at with that. So needless to say, we're recruiting new applicants. We're looking through the file to see if there's anyone that has filled an application or filed an application with us that we may want to talk to. And I'm going to be putting a notice on the Ohio Association of Chiefs of Police website looking for applicants. So the good part about that is it touches just about every municipal police department around, and it costs us nothing to do it because I'm a member. So that saves us a little bit of money. Finally, there'll be a little, the building looks great. I mean, with the new paint and the trim on it, I mean, it needed that badly. We were fortunate to get a door installed. We were fortunate to get a door, and we got that installed. So that was really great. One of the things has always been the nondescript look of that building exterior. So we've ordered exterior wall mount signs, which will be right between the walk-in door and the first garage door. It's 2 foot by 4 foot. It has our patch that's on our uniform on it, and says Baltimore Police Department, has the non-emergency number on it and the address. So for somebody coming through town, it's going to be very obvious that that's the police department. And I think that's something we need to do. So
Did you get your permit?
not yet, but I'm going to have to beg and plead, and I heard that the mayor would pay for it. So that was,
MPO request.
and well, I think I already did that. I think.
Rogers is up to date on SRO training.
The SRO, the way that works is you can put a person on board as an SRO, and they don't have to have the training, but they have to go to the first available training. So for him, it would be in June. They try to do them when school. So he'll probably attend the one in June. The other one is in October, and it's all Zoom. It's all online. And there's some talk that they're going to abandon that and just go with the.
I'm just thinking, because obviously we'll put an ad out for a full-time officer for the SRO. And if the next one's in June, or even if the person comes on a little bit earlier, it might be good to send Lieutenant Rogers as well, so that we do have a person that has been trained on it.
Yeah, and we talked about that, layers of coverage sort of thing, and I think that's a really good idea. It's a very intense class, and not everybody passes it. So again, we send somebody there, we want to make sure it's somebody that's going to be able to do the work and get through the class. And I think that's all I have at this point.
All right. Anybody got questions for the chief? Be careful what you ask. We might get more bad news. All right, we'll move on to fire board.
I haven't had a meeting since the last council meeting, so our next meeting is the 18th at 6:30 down here, 6:10.
All right. I've been thinking about what you said, so I have a question.
Okay.
So I guess I said, because under consideration is a levy, and you said for employment, they need to hire some people.
Yes.
Has the fire board looked at other cost-saving measures to be able to gain this employee or employees as opposed to just going straight for a levy? Because I'm thinking like us, if we want to it.
Tight, just like the villages. It's real tight.
You got two people taking all of it.
Now, we are gonna talk to the union, because part of the problem right now is, we still need to get more employees, but part of the problem right now is they have in their contract that we have to, any overtime has to go to the full-time people. The part-timers can't do the overtime for the full-time people. So.
And that has a budget
That's
hit.
gonna help a little bit, but there's still, they're still strapped a little bit with employees.
Okay.
Of course, we're losing people just like.
Yeah.
Like this thing.
Okay.
Let's leave.
Okay.
Yeah, but our budget's pretty tight.
All right. Any other questions for fire board? All right. Moving on, planning and zoning. As been mentioned a couple times, we met on last Thursday, November 4th, looking at ponds, and it went from, hey, this is ponds, this might be relatively easy, to, well, wait a minute, this is a lot more in depth. That said, I think it's also a testament to the people on the committee. They are very good about thinking about things and wanting to make sure we have all of the information and understand it. So our next meeting is in December. We don't know if we'll be discussing ponds at that meeting, because we have a planned unit development process, the first one that any of us have ever done, on the agenda for that night. So that's the December meeting, but there is, as Brandy mentioned, an ordinance on later for moratorium, and she'll talk more on that when we get there.
What was the date on that, Mayor?
Date on
December meeting.
second Thursday in December is going to be December the 9th.
Thank you.
Is that right, Terry? Yeah.
Sounds great.
Yep, December 9th. All right. Tree Commission?
Do you want to do a reminder of the public hearing for short-term rentals?
When we get to the ordinance.
Oh, sure. Good point. The grant was submitted to ODNR for the tree canopy. Brian, as he shared with you, he has a certain allotment he does every year for tree money, and some of the matching grant money from the village will be coming out of that. It'll help us get more money for planting trees, and which will give me more money to remove dead trees. As you know, we had that dead tree ordinance that we passed just before COVID. So we kind of been on hold a little bit. So more to come on that. We as a tree committee will not be meeting until January now. And the Tree City USA application I'm working on now needs to be submitted by December 1. That's it.
All right. Moving on, records is still where we're at. It's budget time. I would imagine we're probably looking for a records commission hearing, probably late winter, early spring 2022. All right. All right, moving on then. Ordinances and
I think you
resolutions.
want to make a motion, don't you, Terry?
Oh, sorry, I skipped motions, didn't I? Okay, are there any motions?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we go in executive session after all ordinance and resolution for everybody here, or just except
Yes.
everybody here after
For,
for personal
Personnel.
personnel.
motion to enter exec for personnel matters. Second, thank you. And roll call.
Cosgrave,
Yes.
Keller,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Curry,
Yes.
Foreman,
Yes.
Hamilton.
Yes.
All right, we'll have executive session after regular business. Now I will move on. Thank you. To ordinances and resolutions. First reading, ordinance 2021-32. This is an ordinance, one, approving and giving consent to the Director of the Ohio Department of Transportation to apply, maintain, and repair standard longitudinal pavement markings and erect regulatory and warning signs on state highways inside the village corporation limit. And two, giving consent for ODOT to remove snow and ice and use snow and ice control materials on state highways inside the village corporation limits. And three, giving consent for ODOT to perform maintenance and or repair on state highways inside the village corporation and limits, and the declaration of an emergency. Sponsor on this one was going to
Mr.
be
Keller.
Mr. Keller.
Okay, Mayor. Yeah, we talked about this in finance, and this is something that ODOT does every 10 years. So it's nothing new, and in fact, if we can talk and do a couple more roads, that'd be all right with me. But at this time, I'd like to make a motion to bypass the fee rating rule.
Cosgrave, second.
All right. Roll call.
Cosgrave,
Yes.
Foreman,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Keller,
Yes.
Curry.
Yes.
All right, 3 readings bypassed.
Okay, Mayor, I move that we adopt ordinance 2021-32.
Second,
Cosgrave, second.
discussion on 2021-32. Hearing none, roll call.
Cosgrave,
Yes.
Foreman,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Keller,
Yes.
Curry.
Yes.
All right, 2021-32 will be adopted. Moving on, ordinance 2021-33, an ordinance adopting an immediate moratorium on the construction of ponds within the village corporation limits and the declaration of an emergency. Sponsor is McCreary.
Yes, Mayor. So last week in our planning and zoning meeting, the topic at hand, we really had an in-depth discussion regarding ponds and realizing and understanding we actually need to first begin by defining what that is here in the village. So I would like to suspend the 3 reading rule. We would like to have 6 months to discuss this topic. So I'm looking to suspend the 3 reading rule.
Cosgrave, second.
All right, roll call.
McCreary,
Yes.
Keller,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Foreman,
Yes.
Cosgrave.
Yes.
3 readings suspended.
All right, Mayor, I would like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 2021-33.
Cosgrave, second.
Discussion on 2021-33. I will note that this was a unanimous vote from the Planning and Zoning Committee to send this to council and ask for this. All
We want we were in committee. I agree.
right, any other discussion? Roll call.
Keller,
Yes.
McCreary,
Yes.
Foreman,
Yes.
Hamilton,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Cosgrave.
Yes.
All right, ordinance 2021-33 will be adopted. Moving on, ordinance 2021-34, an ordinance for the permanent annual appropriations ordinance for the Village of Baltimore for 2022 and the declaration of an emergency. Sponsor Hankison.
We went over this appropriation during finance, and we're gonna go 3 readings on this. There might be a few changes between now and the end of the 3 readings.
All right, so this one will be on for a second reading, November, what's the date, 22nd? Our next meeting. All right. Moving on, second reading, ordinance 2021-31, an ordinance to adopt the village's 2021 to 2022 pay plan to reflect amendments to pay ranges and other matters. Sponsor Foreman.
Yeah, we talked about this one. This is an ordinance to raise the maximum limits on employees' job descriptions and then also implement the pay raises for 2022. And it's second reading. We're just gonna let this run for a third reading.
All right, so this one will stay on for a third reading, November 22nd. Nothing for third readings. There are two tabled ordinances, 2021-24, which is the ordinance amending certain portions of Part 12 of the zoning code to provide for maximum lot coverage, and 2021-25, which is an ordinance to amend certain portions of the planning and zoning code to provide for the registration of short-term rental properties. Those, unless someone else wants to do something, but they need to stay tabled because it's a zoning code change, so we're required to have a public hearing. The public hearing for those two ordinances is set for next Monday, the 15th. Did we say 7 p.m.? I believe we said
I
7
believe
p.m.
it's 7.
Upstairs in the Opera House to make sure we can have room for everybody that might want to attend that. So those will stay tabled until we can do something with them. So moving on to old business. Does anybody have any old business? Hearing none. Is there any new business?
I only got one thing, the house right down the road here on South Main, I think 309. I see them repairing it and doing anything. What is that? Someone bought that house, or they just fix it up to rent it out or something? What do you know?
Which one?
I don't know. 309 South Main.
I think it's 309, just right here on the going south on the right-hand side, big house.
Yeah,
Oh,
at
the
the
green
top
one.
of the roof.
Oh, yeah.
At the top of the wall, right below the roof where it's rotted.
Yeah, soffit had let loose.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've been about 4 or 5 guys in there fixing it up the last couple of days.
Oh, it's good.
Yeah, it looks nice.
Good.
All right. No other new business. We'll do visitors. Debbie, got anything?
No, I don't.
All right. We do have an executive session after regular business. And since we're kind of like this hybrid type thing, so that anybody watching in the future, I will turn off the Zoom call. It'll disconnect everybody and stop the live stream. And then we will only restart those if after the executive session, council needs to take some action. If there is no action taken other than adjournment, the meeting won't resume at that point. So with that, we will take about a quick 2-minute recess to stop everything, and then we will resume an executive session.